Is Link, the hero of time, really the hero we believe him to be? Many years have passed since the inception of the Legend of Zelda series. A young Hyrulean known as Link courageously defends Hyrule from the forces of darkness. However, this same individual holds a dark secret, one that has threatened the survival of the Kingdom of Hyrule.
From the events of Ocarina of Time, Link, known as the Hero of Time, has indirectly caused war and genocide. He was born during the ravages of war, robbed of his childhood, doomed a kingdom, and then ultimately saved it.
At the end of Ocarina of Time, the Hero of Time defeated Ganondorf. Subsequently, Princess Zelda sent the hero back in time to relive his robbed childhood. When the Hero of Time was sent back, he had the knowledge of impending disaster that Ganondorf was about to unleash upon Hyrule. Naturally, the hero warned the princess of Ganondorf's ambitions. The royal family of Hyrule at this point realized that leaving Ganondorf to his own devices would cause the downfall of their kingdom.
As a result, the Hero of Time was sent away from Hyrule while the royal family dealt with the Ganondorf threat. Eventually, after many years, Ganondorf was subdued and finally executed.
But what exactly happened to the Hero of Time? What happened to Hyrule between the events of Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess?
At the beginning of this chain of events, the Hero of Time makes his way to Termina, and the events of Majora's Mask follow.
And in the end of these events, Hyrule has not only changed geographically, but ethnically as well. The Gerudo tribe have all disappeared. In addition, in the events of Twilight Princess, a mysterious swordsman appears, the hero Shade, who is actually the Hero of Time. But a question remains, what happened exactly to Hyrule while the hero was away?
In Hyrule, things were becoming ever more unstable. The royal family, knowing of Ganondorf's plot against the crown, left him exposed. The royal family was forced to take action against the Gerudo. Ganondorf, exposed, could no longer take Hyrule Castle by deception, and instead, he would take Hyrule by conquest. A war sparked between both the Hylians and the Gerudo led by Ganondorf. Having his initial plans uncovered, Ganondorf launched a preemptive strike on Hyrule Castle, taking the Hylians by surprise. The sacking of the old Hyrule Castle occurred, causing Hylian refugees to flee.
The Gerudo-Hylian War was introduced. Evidence to the war's occurrence lays within the events of Twilight Princess. Ganondorf was said to have invaded Hyrule in hopes of establishing dominion over the Sacred Realm. Additionally, tangible evidence points to the Temple of Time. The temple is largely abandoned. Also, the temple is surrounded by curious ruins. These ruins appear remarkably similar to the old castle town in Ocarina of Time.
In addition, the Temple of Time is the epicenter of Hylian theology. The Hylians wouldn't have abandoned this structure without a good reason. The ensuing Gerudo-Hylian War destabilized all of Hyrule.
Since the sacking of Hyrule Castle, massive amount of Hylian refugees fled from Castle Town. Naturally, they would all seek refuge in Kakariko Village. Unfortunately, this location as well would be targeted during the war.
Ganondorf is known for his ruthlessness, and sacking Kakariko Village wouldn't be something beyond his psychological capabilities. He has an extreme hatred towards the Hylians, a hatred which is continually manifested towards his decision-making process. Subsequently, Kakariko Village was put to the sword, and Hylian refugees, desperate for relief, were attempting to avoid complete annihilation.
The Hylians needed a place to nurse their wounds and gather their strength for the long push against the Gerudo. They needed to find a hidden place to do so, a location that the Gerudo has no knowledge of. Princess Zelda at this point in time must have survived the war, considering that her descendant in Twilight Princess is alive and well. This also implies that Impa is alive as well, considering that her descendant Impa is around in Twilight Princess.
Impa took on a pivotal responsibility in the war. Hylian refugees needed a hidden place to recoup their strength. Thus, she created a brand new village hidden in Hyrule, the Hidden Village, which is a settlement that she built. Under Impa's leadership, the village was purposed to be a refugee camp. Moreover, Impa's role became instrumental for ending the Gerudo-Hylian War. Impa is a veteran of the previous Hyrulean Civil War, and also a potential founding member of the new Hylian Knights.
Once the Hyruleans settled in the hidden village, they strengthened their army for the inevitable retaliation against the Gerudo. But to do this, the Hyruleans would need help from the other tribes. The Zora Kingdom, previously a passive people, were suddenly militarized, now able to fend for themselves. Additionally, with the aid of the Goron tribes, the coalition army swelled. However, Impa foresaw that the coalition would need a new elite order to bolster the army. Since the Sheikah are for the most part extinct, the royal family needed a new elite order to replace the Sheikah.
Thus, a new order of knights were created and centered in Snow Peak Mansion. The evidence connecting Impa with Snow Peak Mansion lies with the ancient Skybook. This Skybook holds information regarding the City of the Sky. Moreover, the book is passed through the Sheikah line.
Since Impa is the sole survivor of the Sheikah, she would naturally have this book, thus knowing about the City of the Sky. In Snow Peak Mansion, several paintings of Hyrule is seen. One such painting is this portrait of the City of the Sky, in which Impa really is the only one who has information regarding it. Another piece of evidence lays within this painting found in Snow Peak ruins. Admittedly, the painting is blurry and difficult to make out, but if you would take a closer look at this person's hair, you can see bangs of grayish hair. Coincidentally enough, Impa has a similar hairstyle. However, the most fascinating piece of evidence is this. In the lower right-hand section, you can see this person is holding a book. This book appears to be similar to the ancient Skybook, as noted by Impas. Only her ancestors had access to the ancient Skybook, thus leading to Impa possessing this book, since not only is Impa the ancestor of Impaz, but she is the sole survivor of the Sheikah tribe. Towards possessing the ancient Skybook, having a connection with the City of the Sky, and a portrait in Snow Peak Mansion, are these circumstances connected?
Impa oversaw the creation of a new elite order of knights. Since the Sheikah are all gone, a new order needed to be created to replace them. This order of knights was trained both in Sheikah and Hyrulean ways. Centered in Snow Peak Mansion, this location acted as a nucleus for the order's direction. This mansion is also a prime location for a central base, easily defendable, remote, and most importantly, hidden away from Gerudo and Ganondorf.
Eventually, the new coalition army has been forged, and with it, we enter the final phase of the Gerudo-Hyrulean War. The coalition army comprised of the new Hyrulean army, the elite order of knights, the Goron tribes, and the newly militarized Zora kingdom pushed the Gerudo advance back into the desert. There, a rather dark fate awaited the Gerudo.
As a direct result of the war, the Gerudo tribe were either driven out of Hyrule or butchered in a horrific genocide. Proof of this lies within the Arbiter's grounds, where the whole dungeon was originally a Gerudo place of worship but has been repurposed into a torture prison. Due to the eventual Hyrulean victory, the crest of the royal family is prominently showcased throughout the entire dungeon as a sign of conquest. However, the biggest piece of evidence is this. During the boss fight dealing with Stalord, these Stal troops are seen, which look remarkably similar to Hyrulean soldiers.
The army led by Hyruleans entered Gerudo Desert and put the Gerudo tribe to the sword. The Gerudo race experienced a genocide where countless Gerudo were slain by the Hyruleans. Remaining survivors left Hyrule entirely to escape the bloodshed. At the end of the war, the Gerudo king Ganondorf was subdued by the sages to be executed. However, the execution failed, and thus, as a last-minute effort to quell the Gerudo king, Ganondorf was sent to the Twilight Realm. With the war ended, Hyruleans could finally rebuild. A new castle town was constructed, along with rebuilding Kakariko, thus abandoning the old castle town in Old Kakariko.
Since the newly militarized Zora kingdom fought alongside the Hyruleans during the war, they now traditionally bury their dead in Kakariko graveyard. Subsequently, the Kingdom of Hyrule entered a period of reconstruction. Moreover, the kingdom had no use of maintaining a large military anymore, since the Gerudo have been all driven off and the Sheikah are nearly extinct. The Kingdom of Hyrule did not see a need to maintain a large military, thus causing the Hyrulean military to dumb down to a shadow of its former self. In fact, during the events of Twilight Princess, it has been noted by Ashe that the Hyrulean soldiers used to be brave, but now they're essentially a bunch of rookies.
Subsequently, the royal family had no more use of the elite order of knights that Impa helped train. Thus, the order was disbanded. The painting surrounding Snow Peak Mansion tells of the results of the Gerudo-Hyrulean War. To the sacking of the old castle town, to the genocide of the Gerudo tribe and the rebuilding of the new Hyrule castle. The additional paintings tells of the Order's founders such as Impa.
However, what happened to Impa? Her descendant Impaz has been more or less banished to the hidden village by the royal family. What exactly happened? Well, after the Gerudo-Hyrulean War, Impa may have lost faith with the royal family. She essentially committed genocide by killing and driving off the Gerudo tribe.
Evidence pointing to Impa's involvement towards the war is this. In most Zelda games, Impa and Zelda are often paired together. However, in Twilight Princess, there is no Impa that aids Zelda. Why is this? It may have been Impa's involvement during the Gerudo-Hyrulean War. Impa helped rebuild the kingdom of Hyrule, but she also helped commit a genocide.
In other words, Impa may not have seen eye to eye with the royal family of Hyrule, and because of their disagreements, she chose not to serve the royal family as their attendant any longer, thus leading to Twilight Princess, where her descendant Impaz is essentially exiled to the hidden village. But the biggest piece of evidence supporting this theory is this statement. By royal order, I can't leave this place unless a certain person arrives, no matter what terrible fate is visited upon it.
This certain person is the messenger of the heavens who would wield the Dominion Rod, but waiting around for such a myth is essentially an exile. The royal family may have just given Impaz the menial task of waiting for the messenger of the heavens, a task essentially meant to exile Impaz, since no one expected the messenger of the heavens to actually appear.
But what about the hero of time? How exactly does he fit in with all of this?
We know the Hero of Time eventually returns to Hyrule from his adventures in Termina. We know this for several reasons. During the Hero of Time's adventures in Majora's Mask, he received this bow called the Hero's Bow. The bow of the same name can be found in Goron Mines in Twilight Princess. It even mentions that this bow was once held by the ancient hero.
So the Hero of Time did return to Hyrule, but he had a completely transformed Hyrule to await him. The old castle town was abandoned and the Gerudo tribe have been wiped out. The Hero of Time would naturally seek out Princess Zelda for answers about what is going on in Hyrule since he left.
The hero eventually met with Zelda, then the princess explained everything. This is essentially Link's darkest secret. You see, the Hero of Time indirectly caused the Gerudo-Hyrulean War. For example, when the hero first left the land of Hyrule, he informed Zelda of Ganondorf's secret plans. The royal family was forced to deal with Ganondorf. Moreover, Ganondorf felt exposed, and then he launched his attack on Hyrule, thus causing the war. Simply put, the Hero of Time actually played a part in causing the Gerudo-Hyrulean War.
The hero was shocked. Even though he saved Hyrule in a different time, he doomed Hyrule in his own time. He was no longer the hero that would save Hyrule simply because he was not there to begin with, but there was an impending disaster. Princess Zelda informed the Hero of Time that Ganondorf survived the execution and was sealed to the Twilight Realm. One day Ganondorf will return to wreak havoc on Hyrule once more.
However, the Hero of Time was finished. Ganondorf would one day return, but he would not be alive to see it. He accepted life as the hero, but he would not be the one to save Hyrule. Instead, a successor would save Hyrule from Ganondorf. This successor would be the Hero of Twilight, the Hero of Time's descendant.
To make way for the Hero of Twilight's coming, the Hero of Time instituted a plan to secure Hyrule's future. With the help of Impa and his new friend Skull Kid, the Hero of Time installed contingencies to aid his successor. With the help of Impa, the Hero of Time constructed Howling Stones to guide his descendant. These Howling Stones do display the Sheikah eye symbol. Since Impa is literally the only Sheikah left, Impa and the Hero of Time must have collaborated to create these Howling Stones.
Moreover, the Gossip Stones in Ocarina of Time have been noted to pierce one's mind, so these stones have the ability to tamper with someone's consciousness. For example, when the Hero of Twilight uses these Howling Stones, he is actually knocked out and receives a vision. When the Hero of Twilight finishes his visions, he appears as though he has just woken up. Like the Gossip Stones, the Howling Stones do have the ability to tamper with someone's consciousness. These stones have obviously been repurposed for the Hero of Time's master plan.
Additionally, these Howling Stones also exhibit past melodies that the Hero of Time learned over the course of his adventures. For example, the Song of Healing and the Prelude of Light can be heard via the stones.
In addition to guiding his successor via Howling Stones, the Hero of Time did make a new friend, Skull Kid. The hero knew that he would not live forever, so he entrusted his friend Skull Kid with one last favor, to guide his successor to the Master Sword.
During the events of Twilight Princess, the Hero of Twilight obtained the Master Sword by passing the Skull Kid's trials. Even the way the Skull Kid leaves it is rather strange. That was fun. I'll tell you what, I'll let you into a secret place. It's almost as if Skull Kid finally played with his old friend for the last time, finally able to rest in peace.
With the Hero of Time constructing Howling Stones and informing Skull Kid to guide his successor, the hero gave his bow to the Goron tribes in preparation for the future hero. Now, with completing everything he could do, the Hero of Time returned to his home in the forest, which became the future Ordon village. He may have even settled down with Milan if she's still alive at this point. At some point during his time in Ordon village, he must have given his green hero's tunic to the light spirit Pharaon to pass it on to his future descendant.
How the Hero of Time met his end is unknown. Whether or not he died in battle, or how exactly he lost his eye is a mystery. Perhaps we will never know for sure. However, in Hyrule Castle a mysterious passage is heard. The cursed swordsman sleeps before the sacred tree.
Whether or not this is the final resting place of the Hero of Time is unknown. If this is the Hero of Time's grave, what does this mean? Did he die defending the kingdom of Hyrule? If so, from what?
Whenever the Hero of Twilight receives sword lessons from the Hero of Time, the heroes are actually suspended in the clouds overlooking Hyrule Castle. Could this be a nod to the Hero of Time's final resting place?
One likely theory would be that the Hero of Time spent his last days as a mercenary. He served the royal family without fail to make up for his absence in the land of Termina. The way his armor is withered and the fact that he lost an eye speaks volumes of how far he's willing to go to defend Hyrule.
In a sense, the Hero of Time is a cursed swordsman. He saved Hyrule in the adult timeline only to have Hyrule be flooded. In his own timeline, he helped cause the Gerudo Hyrulean War. So in the long term, he actually transformed Hyrule more than Ganondorf ever could. And the only way to save Hyrule from future disaster would be to prepare the next hero to receive all the glory. Furthermore, the paintings in Snowpeak Mansion actually tells of the war's history. From the sacking of Hyrule to the Gerudo Hyrulean War, Impa, and the Hero of Time's legacy in Ordon village.
The Hero of Time's plans for the future is certainly commendable. Time went by until the Hero of Twilight is born during the events of Twilight Princess. The Hero of Twilight is the descendant of the Hero of Time, and over the course of the events in Twilight Princess, and thanks to the Hero of Time's planning, the Hero of Twilight received the hero's tunic, found the hero's bow, received training straight from the specter of the Hero of Time, and was guided by Skull Kid to the Master's Sword. These were all things that the Hero of Time did to ensure that his descendant, the Hero of Twilight, would be successful.
And he did become successful. The Hero of Time's plan worked. In the end of Twilight Princess, the Hero of Twilight defeated Ganondorf, finally ending this bloody page in Hyrule's history. While the Hero of Twilight received all of the glory, the Hero of Time is instrumental in securing the Kingdom of Hyrule's existence. Ironic how the Hero of Time was not actually recognized as a hero in his own time.
The Hero of Time lamented in the fact that he could not directly pass on his teachings to his successor. Instead, he had to guide his successor in a plan that would be executed potentially decades after his own death. But at last, he has eased his regrets. This is the Hero of Time's darkest secret, his own secret legacy of sacrifice to ensure the continuation of the Kingdom of Hyrule. And he did all of this for absolutely no thanks in return.
The influence of what the Hero of Time had on his descendant, the Hero of Twilight, can be best described by the light spirit Pharaon's words. The green tunic that is your garb once belonged to the ancient hero chosen by the gods. His power is yours. His is the true power that slept within you.
The Hero of Twilight has been blessed with the Hero of Time's influence. With his blessing, the Hero of Twilight successfully fulfilled not one but two destinies. One is to defeat Ganondorf, and the other is to finally put an old hero to rest. On a final note, Midna did tell of a prophecy of the appearance of a divine beast who will free her people. The hero shade does appear as a golden wolf. Come to think of it, is the Hero of Time the real hero in all of this? Will the mystery regarding the Hero of Time be truly answered? Probably not, but this theory attempts to cover the time span in the chronicle. Perhaps we will never know what really happened to the Hero of Time, and perhaps that is for the best. And finally, this video is finally complete.
Also, the research compiled for this video has been a collaboration between Macintyre Productions and Vortexy Gaming. Unfortunately, she's been rather busy as of late, so I'm voicing in her stead.
Also, comment below if you have any questions regarding this theory. Also, which theory would you like to see next? A theory about the mystery about Impa and the Sheikah? Or a theory about the truth about Ganondorf? Comment below on which one you would like to see.
But of course, a lot of questions still remain. What is Impa's dark past? What really caused the Gerudo-Hyrulean War?
If you want answers to these questions, the second part of this theory will be on Vortexy Gaming's channel in the near future. We placed a lot of work into making these videos, and I apologize for the ridiculous delay between theory videos. For now on, we'll be more consistent in these kind of uploads. If you like this video, then please like, and if you really like this video, then please subscribe. Till then, this is the video of the day.
Before he passes into the next realm, the hero's shade stays behind a while longer to watch over his descendant one last time. His chest, now released of any lingering regret, swells with pride as he observes what his young hero has become. Shedding one last tear for his flesh and blood, he departs, his battle-worn, armor-clad image fading to resemble the one of the hero he used to be, the hero of time.